Right, I'm here this morning with Chris Grayling, who's Shadow Home Secretary. And Chris, what are you here doing this morning?
Well, I've come here to Reading West, to the other half of Reading, because the eastern half is already very well represented, to launch in this part of the country our poster campaign for the general election, that we're going to cut the deficit, not the NHS, really setting the NHS at the heart of our election campaign, and to send a big message to an area of Reading West that hasn't always been terribly favourable to Conservatives, but actually we're here, we're going to bring change, we're going to bring change to the whole community.
Now, one of the big issues that there is going to be is right in the middle of your brief, and a lot of my constituents are saying to me, well, what are the Conservatives going to do in Reading to make things better for us with antisocial behaviour, with crime, burglary, and with all those other sort of big policing issues?
Well, I think antisocial behaviour is the number one issue in terms of law and order for virtually every community up and down the country. There are two things we need to do. The first is we've got to get police out of police stations and actually onto the streets. We had the absurd comments from Jack Straw last week saying that he thought police officers preferred to stay in police stations in the war. He's clearly not spoken to any police officers recently. I know just how frustrated they are by the amount of unnecessary bureaucracy they have to deal with in police stations. That's got to change. But I think we've also then got to equip the equipment with more immediate powers to deal with antisocial behaviour. And that comes in two parts. Firstly, simple powers to deal with troublesome teenagers that don't give them criminal records, but enable them to be punished at the spot, grounded them to a month, for example. I've kind of dubbed this the 21st century version of the clip around the ear. The other bit we need is a much tougher regime of binge drinking, licensing control back in local communities, the power to close down temporarily public premises and so forth. So that we actually start to get to grips with the strains and the pressures that the binge drinking culture places on a place like Reading.
Now, one of the big issues in my area that constituents keep writing to me and telephoning me about is the low level of drug dealing that takes place on the streets and from properties, and there doesn't seem to be any push from the police to really crack down on that. I mean, what can we do to give police the powers to really rid that sort of drug dealing, that low level drug dealing from our streets?
Well, again, it's about willpower and about direction from the centre. The government sent completely mixed messages about drugs in the last few years. It keeps chopping and changing, it keeps saying, well, maybe it's okay, maybe it's not okay. You've got to be consistent in the messages you send, and we've been very clear that we would not have declassified cannabis in the way the current government did, and that we would have left it as a Class B drug. But I think it's also about making sure, it's that point about getting police out of police stations. The reason the police aren't dealing with some of these apparently lower level issues is because actually they're spending so much time dealing with nonsense imposed on them by the government. Where the government keeps telling us we've got more police officers than we had in the past, it doesn't look like it if you look at our streets. And the reason is because there's so much guff they now have to deal with. If we don't trust up the questions, we're not going to get them on the streets, and we're not going to get them dealing with low level crime like that's described. That's what we want to show.
Great, well that was Chris Grayling, who's Shadow Home Secretary, and we'll be looking forward to you being Home Secretary from around about May the 6th onwards.
Good luck. Crossed. We've got a job to do here in Reading first though.
Indeed. Thanks very much.